Characters are the beings that experience the events of your story. The most important character in your story is the main character, or the protagonist. The protagonist spends the bulk of your story encountering obstacles. The process of overcoming each of these obstacles forces the character to confront the need to change. This process of change is called the character's arc. Fundamentally, all stories are about change. They are about who the character is at the beginning of the story versus who they are at the end of the story. It's this process of change that creates your character's arc. The first step in forcing a character to undergo his character arc is to introduce a goal. A goal is something that the character wants, but has not yet attained. It's the pursuit of this goal that occupies most of the time in your story and forces the character through his arc. Once your characters are in pursuit of their goal, they encounter obstacles, which they need to overcome. Often, these obstacles are other characters in the story. But sometimes they are just objects or situations in the way of a character achieving his goal. In order for a character to attain his goals, he must overcome each of these obstacles in turn. The only way for a character to overcome his obstacles is to force change. This can be achieved in one of two ways. The first is for a character to change himself. In this scenario, a character identifies his own personal limitations and then adapts in order to overcome his obstacle. The second way of forcing change is for a character to change the obstacle he is confronting. By changing the obstacle, he remains exactly who he was at the beginning of the encounter, but somehow forces the obstacle to bend to his will. Throughout the course of your story, your character will encounter a number of obstacles. The manner in which your character overcomes these obstacles, by forcing change, dictates who he will be at the end of your story and facilitates his character arc. But what motivates your audience to endure this journey with your character? The most important thing a visual storyteller can do is create an empathic link between your characters and your audience. This empathic link allows your audience to experience the events of your story through your characters. The keys to creating this empathic link are the 5 universals. The 5 universals are 5 things that you, as the storyteller, can do to connect your audience to your characters. The first universal is to make a character good at something. If a character is intelligent, athletic, or particularly good at anything, then the audience will learn to respect him for his skills. Another technique for making your character more likable is to subject him to undeserved suffering. When a character is subjected to physical or emotional abuse, the audience identifies with his pain. The third universal is to make a character funny to observe. If the character is entertaining or interesting to watch, then the audience is more likely to want to spend time with him. The final way to make this connection with the audience is to show the character's relationship to other characters. This can work in 2 ways. The first is to show how the protagonist is treated by other characters. If a character is treated well or respected by the secondary characters, the audience can gain admiration for him. If the character is constantly subjected to abuse from the secondary characters, the audience can have sympathy for the character. This character-to-character relationship works the other way as well. When a character treats other characters well, the audience can see him as a benevolent or kindly figure. When the character in question is abusive or disregards the feelings of other characters, it has the opposite effect. While virtually every story has only one protagonist, there are few stories which contain only one character. The characters in your story who are not your protagonist are called secondary characters. These characters exist to facilitate your character's journey and help him to progress through his arc. One of the most important roles a character can serve is as an antagonist. An antagonist stands directly between the protagonist and his goal. This character acts as an obstacle in your story, preventing your character from obtaining his goal until he finally confronts the need to change. The secondary character that plays the role most opposite of the antagonist is the sidekick, or supporting character. This character helps the protagonist overcome his obstacles by facilitating change or causing change for the main character. Another type of character that supports your antagonist through the course of your story is the mentor. The mentor guides the protagonist through his character arc without specifically assisting or making change for the protagonist. The mentor's role is to model behavior or show the protagonist the next step in completing his character arc. While each of these character types have specific roles, it is important to understand that a single character can take on more than one role over the course of your story. When watching a visual story, consider the following. Who is the protagonist? Who are the secondary characters? How are the 5 universals used to connect your audience to your characters? How do the obstacles in your story cause your characters to force change and undergo their character arc?